it really is a superpower for you having dealt with abuse in every area of your life, be it from family members, people in your own community, or people that you may have been in romantic relationships. One of those things was circumstantial, so you couldn't necessarily get away from it. But the second thing, like, you're just gonna have to chalk it up to just like bad decision making. But I know that you all are leaders, so I know that you won't mind taking accountability for either your lack of confidence, your lack of self respect at the time, or your lack of poor decision making. You just chalk it up to, you know what, it is what it is. I now, as a full grown adult, have the wherewithal to know where to put people in my life. And if it means that I have to get rid of all of these people, be they came into my life displaying physical abuse, emotional or mental, then fuck it. But there is a great superpower within you to not classify a whole entire demographic because of, like I said, circumstance and poor decision making. I recognize two things about men and women. When women get online and they're telling their stories, whether they be like on TikTok or YouTube, they are telling their stories from like a standpoint of like, I made these fucked up decisions. I may have had this man's child, or I may have stayed into the situation too long, or maybe I put myself at risk in a lot of different kind of ways, or, just all of those different kind of things. I would just urge all of you ladies to not make the same mistakes as me, and one, either decenter men or just try to not deal with them at all. That's how women are coming for the most part. Those are generally the conversations that are happening when I'm listening to women tell their stories. Men, however, men could end up in unfortunate situations with women, and it's not them saying, you know what, we're going to go our own way, we're going to prioritize ourselves, we're going to decenter women and do our own thing, we're going to collectively, work on our mental health and, our hero and spiritual journey and things like that. It's just like, no, their whole, like, overall, their whole stitch is to continue to deal with women and to treat them all the same, regardless of if they are accused of anything, if they're guilty of any kind of bad behavior or not. They generalize all women and they say, you know what? Now all you bitches have to pay for the mistake of a few. And women are not the same. Women will have the empathy to try to get into relationships with men after maybe they've done some work on themselves, or maybe have reflective moments and different things like that. And I'm speaking to a certain demographic of women. I know there are always going to be certain men and women who are just forever going to be hard-headed, and they're going to keep dealing with the same people over and over and over again because they have never learned. They've never given themselves time to learn themselves, learn the things that they value in life, or if they even value anything. They just want warm bodies. They want warm bodies to sit there and essentially just accumulate all of this different time with them until they decide to move on to the next person and the next person. But these are the different things that I see between men and women, and I can see that are the difference. The one thing that I like about the demographic of men that I follow online is that to even when they speak to women, even when they speak on dismantling the patriarchy, even when they speak on um the different things that guys have done to women, they still don't speak with an air of vitriol. Like, they're not attacking men. They're just holding men accountable. You know what I'm saying? They're not calling them everything but a child of God and all of this other kind of different stuff. They're just like, okay, bro, like, women are getting online and talking about these different kind of things, and they're sharing their experiences. And if we're calling ourselves so-called leaders, it's up to us to not only dismantle the patriarchy, which is essentially rooted in racism, right? it's rooted in a bunch of things, but it's rooted primarily in racism and sexism. And if we want to do away with these harmful systems, then we first have to check ourselves. We have to deal with our internalized misogyny. And somebody has said this somewhere. They said in order to deal with a man, you have to deal with some level of misogyny. And I could not fucking agree more. I could not agree more. Like, and I've never said it in that particular kind of way, but I know I've said it in content before where I said, like, you essentially have to play stupid and play dumb, deaf, and blind to be with a nigga. Like, you have to act like you don't see certain kind of things. You have to, you just have to dumb yourself down to be with these individuals. And it's just like, for what? Like, it does you no good to stay in relationships where you have to dumb yourself down, where you have to play the background and remain quiet about particular kind of things that you believe to be abusive or things that you don't necessarily agree with just to fit into the life of a man. No. So when they said that, I was like, yes, somebody finally fucking gets it. And it's so fucking funny, right? How, you know how guys will like mention like Pookies and Ray Rays and like try to act like it's this particular demographic. When niggas talk about women, they Pookie and Ray Ray, for like lack of a better phrase, they Pookie and Ray Ray every single kind of woman. I mean, every single kind of woman, regardless of her demographic, regardless of her social class, color, or whatever the case may be. They are essentially saying that women are the enemy, period. All women are Pookies and Ray Rays, and they should not be trusted. But they expect us to believe that there is this small demographic of men who are pieces of shit. No, you all have been, from the time that you came out of your mother's coochie, you all have been ingrained and conditioned with hints, if not loads, of misogyny that you then carry out your whole entire life. And then you get in relationships with women and expect them to accept these toxic sides of you, and then when we don't, all of a sudden we're a problem. So as a woman, it's kind of like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Well, not me. Because like I said, I've liberated myself from giving a fuck about whatever the fuck them niggas think about. But like, they're saying like, oh, if you make poor decisions and, you got a nigga knocking you upside the head or being emotionally abusive to you or whatever the case may be, and you decide to leave them and maybe you have a child together, it's your fault because you didn't keep your family together. It's your fault because you didn't choose better. And if you're over 30 and you don't have motherfucking kids, well, you're gonna fucking die alone. And that's why nobody wants you anyway, because who wants to be with a woman who don't want to have kids? If you bitches don't shut the fuck up, like, if niggas spent half of the time that they trying to psychoanalyze women and research and do all of these other different kind of things, if y'all motherfuckers worked on y'all mental health, if y'all worked on actually trying to dismantle the motherfucking system that makes you feel like a piece of shit in the first place and makes you feel like if you don't meet like a certain level in society, like you're essentially nothing, like why don't you fight that? Why don't you fight that? But I say all of the time, like, niggas like to punch down. They never want to punch up. Because punching up would mean that they would have to go against the very system that they try to uphold. So shout out to the women. Like I said, this is a full circle thing. Shout out to the women who have never been protected, who have been abused in all areas of their lives. Like I said, be it emotionally, physically, financially, all of the things. You've been abused in every single area of your life from people you expected to protect you, especially your family members. And you came up with nothing. With nothing. But you still hold space for understanding that motherfuckers are still individuals at the end of the day. And you're going to continue to allow people to show you who they are on an individual basis. And you're not going to judge an entire demographic because you realize like somebody from that demographic could possibly come into your life and show you a different kind of manhood that you've never experienced before. He could come into your life and add nuance. Anytime I hear these niggas online having the same fucking talking points, like I don't hear anything new. It's like nothing new. They're all saying the same stats. They're all saying the same thing. They don't bring any kind of nuance or solutions to the table. They all come with a sense of vitriol, and they all try to rage bait people with their content. I scroll. Because again, even when I'm listening to women being upset about the opposite sex, like, it's more so a sense of disappointment in themselves. They're like, damn, I wish I would have paid attention to this. Damn, I wish I would have, like, they're actively taking accountability. Like, fuck it. I know I got myself in this situation, so I'm going to take care of these kids. Fuck it. I know I had to go through this divorce and I got to start over and I ain't got X amount of years of experience, but I got to figure out a way. I got to do this and I got to do that. Yes, they feel betrayed by the people that they're with, but they're taking the accountability and just saying, fuck it, I'm going to do better next time. They're not sitting online, sitting there trying to plot on, you know what I'm going to do to the next nigga who, like, who has time for that? When you're a fucking adult, when you grow the fuck up, you just realize that shit happens. Shit happens and you got to move the fuck on. So shout out to the ladies who have had that sense of bitterness, who have had that sense of vitriol, who needed to rage the fuck out because you have been betrayed in every single area of your fucking life and you are tired, but you still have the compassion to not identify everyone as a piece of shit, because essentially assuming that everyone is a piece of shit is assuming that you are as well. And you're not going to project that energy out into the universe because you understand what you put out, you get back. You're going to continue to mess with everyone on an individual basis and allow them to show you who they are. And the one thing that you're going to do differently this time, because now as a leader, you've taken the accountability, is you're going to allow people to show you who the fuck they are the first time, and you're going to believe them. It's okay, babe. Don't beat yourself up about all of those pieces of shit and them goofies who came into your life and intentionally tried to break you the fuck down, intentionally stole your years, intentionally were abusive, intentionally wanted you to feel small. I want you to take up as much space as you fucking want. I want you to be loud and proud about who the fuck you are. I want you to own them goddamn scars that you have on you. And I don't want you to be nobody fucking victim. Because that's not what you are. You came out of that shit and yeah, you got scars. But at the end of the day, you made it through. And you didn't allow anyone to take away who you are as a person. That shit is a fucking superpower. Even if you did go through a fucking season where you were a little bit rigid. You were feeling like, fuck it, I'm on my V for Vendetta shit. Listen, trust me, I understand. But you realize you got only a couple of summers left, babe. I don't want you to sit here and take up all of that time being weighed down by those betrayals, being weighed down by those tears. You ain't never going to have to get over none of that, but you going to get through it. Trust you and me, you going to get through it. And next time that we meet new people, we just gonna pay more attention. We're gonna listen more than we speak. That's it. So don't beat yourself up. It's okay if you had a season. It's okay. This is your first go round at this shit. Understand that the people that you come across, you want them to be progressive in the way that they speak. You want them to be the kind of people who talk about liberation, who don't just categorize every single person in a particular demographic. You want people to be free thinkers. Groupthink is for the weak. Don't get trapped in that clusterfuck of propaganda and gender wars and all of this other kind of different shit. You can pay attention to whatever you want to pay attention to, but I want you to, at the end of the day, choose your motherfucking self. Because a lot of these people, though I respect some of them, they want to suck you into their little cult. They want you to be under the impression that you have beef with every fucking body when you don't. You might have beef with your past, but you don't have to stay that way. Let it go. You can't turn around and do none of that stuff. You can't turn around and change anything that happened to you. You can acknowledge what the fuck it is and you can keep it moving. Like I said, some of this shit was circumstantial. You can't get away from your family. You can't get away from the people in your neighborhood for the most part who abused you. You can't. And maybe, yes, you made some poor decision when it came to the people who you decided to entertain romantically. But you decided to pull your fucking big girl panties up and say, never no fucking more. Enough is enough. I don't have to be a piece of shit to the next person who comes into my life because I learned my fucking lessons. And I'm not harboring no deep-seated fucking rooted feelings about, somebody who ain't even did shit to me yet. Now I got to take all of this shit out on him because of some weak-ass niggas in my past? Fuck no. Now, if he give me a reason to believe he a weak nigga, that's a different story. But if he ain't giving you no reason to feel a way about nothing, he coming into your life teaching you things, he's showing you a different side of manhood that you never experienced before. He's not at all with trying to uphold this bum-ass patriarchy. He's trying to work on the inner, because listen, even the quote-unquote good guys have internalized misogyny. He's trying to work on those things. That's somebody worth admiring. Only a few women is going to catch the gems. Because the majority is just, like I said, in a mind state of lack. In a mind state of thinking, I just need to get me one. The fuck? It's never that serious. But you realize that. You realize that you would rather work on yourself. You realize that you would rather figure out the things that you've done wrong and figure out how you can do better the next time. And not only just be cautious about the things that you should cautious about the things that you should look out for, but anticipating all of the good that you should look out for as well. You're not going to be so hyper focused on a negative that you miss out on looking at the good in people. If you want them to see the good in you, you have to see the good in others. And I'm not at all telling you to be green. I'm not at all telling you to be gullible. I'm telling you to shut your mouth, open your ears, and be aware that when somebody shows you who the fuck they are this time, we're going to believe them the first time. And that's just that on that.